Okay, good morning and grand rising, beautiful souls. Thank you for tuning in today. This is the Existential Healer on the Existential Healer podcast. If you're wondering where I've been for a while, well, I don't know, I've been everywhere. But I'm finally back, and we're back with another collective reading about cutting cords. But before I get into that, I just want to remind everyone that this is a collective reading and this is a confirmation reading. So I'm just confirming for you things that you already know, or you may be remembering what you've already known, but do not take any of my readings as doom, like I'm dooming you to certain realities. If it doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't resonate with you. With that being said, let's get into it. We're doing cord cutting today. My guides specifically have been pushing me towards doing a specific cord cutting ceremony, so hopefully this is relevant for a few of you as well. Cord cutting is the cutting of energetic cords and releasing toxic patterns, habits, relationships, anything that we put our energy into where it's not giving back to us in a way that's serving our highest purpose is usually a cord attachment that we've made out of need or excessive desire or control. There's a lot of reasons we make connections this way, but when we get to a certain point in our spirituality, we are able to cut our cords. We're able to sever ourselves from these things that ultimately drain us instead of and make room for the things that ultimately feed us and pour back into us. So that's what we're here to do today. I'm going to pull a few different cards as far as what kind of cords we're going to be cutting and what we'll be manifesting and benefiting from when we cut our cords. So with that being said, also, if everything goes right today, we should have today's episode up on YouTube. If you'd like to see the cards that we're pulling, there will be a visual, so that's exciting. Anyways, we are starting off with the Goddess Tarot, and we're just going to see what kind of cords are we going to be cutting as a collective. So we've got Five of Swords, Sacrifice, Contemplation, and Princess of Swords. So this is really cool. This is a great start. Five of Swords, Sacrifice, Contemplation. So I'm getting relationships. There's a few relationships that we need to put into perspective here. With the Sacrifice card, it looks like we have the goddess Kuan Yin, and she is holding a newborn baby in her hand, or in her arms, sorry. This is interesting to me because specifically one of the cords that I'm working towards cutting is one that's going to be healing my own motherhood wound. Sorry, that was weird. It's going to be healing my own motherhood wound. So, motherhood, maybe your cord with your mother, things, relationships surrounding motherhood that seem like they aren't based in unconditional love, maybe is a cord that we might be cutting. Contemplation, again, you might have to sit with this. This might be a new idea for you, so you might have to sit with this and understand what relationships or what patterns, what habits you have in your life that you have gone and done for so long that you just need the contemplation part to understand fully what you might need to cut. Five of Swords is telling us, though, that we are very much capable of cutting these cords. And these cords will be cords that we've been sort of holding on to for so long. Like you see in the Five of Swords, this girl has 3 swords in her hand and 2 on the ground, so she just can't carry all 5 anymore. So she's sort of deciding what swords to leave behind and what to still carry. Because again, like some emotional warfare or emotional just relationships and just emotional, I guess, responsibilities, there's some things that I still claim that I know don't do the most for me, but I know that I can handle them. Like, I consciously walk into that relationship with boundaries. There's other relationships that no matter what boundaries I have, they will always drain me energetically, and those are the cords that I'm working towards cutting specifically. Maybe later down the line I'll get to the smaller ones, but the big ones are the ones that drain the most energy and the ones that take the most from us, which is why we benefit the most from cutting said cords. And then the Princess of Swords being the last card that came out, basically going from the Five of Swords to the Princess of Swords with the process of sacrifice and contemplation in the middle, you will... Let me find the right words for this one. So on the Princess of Swords, she has one sword in her hand now. So you're basically gaining this self-respect. You're gaining this self-righteousness. You're gaining the ability to protect yourself, to respect yourself enough to cut these cords. Because again, with the family members coming up, that can be really terrifying to cut those cords. To do anything to sacrifice a family membership or a family relationship can be really intimidating, because family is one thing that I see in our society a lot, that we allow them to get away with the most bullshit. We allow them to get away with the most stuff when it comes to us, especially if you are the healer in your family, the black sheep, the one who just, like, even though you don't have your shit together really, you have your shit together the most out of your whole family. I hope that resonates because it resonates with me. So, what was I saying? Anyways, those cord cuts can be sort of intimidating. And Spirit wants you to know that walking into this, if you're here today, you're on the right path. You need to hear these messages, and you also need to allow yourself time to process. So if you're not ready to cut the cord today, fine, by all means, but it's worth still listening and still contemplating the idea of cutting said cords, and maybe sticking around too, just to understand what the possible benefit could be, because I'm just here to add perspective, that's all. I'm not here to convince you to do anything that you don't want to do, just adding perspective. And if it seems like it could be beneficial to you, then by all means, go ahead with it. If you feel scared about it, or it feels sort of wrong, do not go forward with it, because that is how we get ourselves into sticky situations, especially spiritually and emotionally. I want you to feel this Princess of Swords before you go forward and embody that, like that deep breath moment, like you feel good about letting something go. So until you're there, don't cut any actual cords, but there is beneficial information coming from today's reading for you. So we're going to keep going, and we're going to see what these cords that we have are keeping from us. What are they blocking us from? Why, maybe why do we feel the need to cut these cords? Let's say that. Why do we need to cut these cords? What are they taking from us, blocking us from? Do one more. Why do we need to cut these cords? Okay, so we've got 3 cards here. And the first one that came out is Detox, Cleanse and Restore Yourself, with number 3. And that's a really great one to follow up with, because again, cutting emotional cords, obviously you are detoxing your emotional field, your spiritual field. You are getting rid of anything that drains you, anything that keeps your well empty, and you are making room for the things that are here to fill you back up. cleanse and restore yourself. So again, you're just freeing yourself from these energetic attachments that have taken from you for so long. And bringing us back to the Princess of Swords, she sort of signifies to you that the feeling of after your detox, like if you've ever done like a 24-hour cleanse or a 3-day cleanse or a detox where you just drink like cayenne pepper and water for 2 days or something. There's a lot of different ways, and there's a lot of unhealthy ways to detox, but going through the process of detoxing sometimes can be very hard, especially if you have like a close relationship with your food, which I do. I enjoy my food very much, so going without and detoxing in any way sometimes can be very difficult, especially when we have sort of codependent relationships with certain things or people, and we don't even recognize it. So when we're completely without it, it feels even worse. So maybe even just detoxing for a few days from these relationships, from these things that we cope with, that could also be really beneficial. If you're not ready to cut a cord, just detox. Take 3 days, take a break. Then we got Oblivion, number 20, and it says open your arms. And so one thing that these cords are blocking us from is finding our oblivion. Sometimes if you're really into manifesting, like the idea of it, the process of it, but it feels like your manifestations don't quite come true as quickly as you would expect, sometimes it's because of our energetic cords, and it feels like there's someone who's connected to us, to you, through your cords, your energetic cords, that is literally stopping your manifestations from coming true. Because they have implemented such strong limiting beliefs about yourself that we have to work towards this Princess of Swords. Right now, you're not in the mindset of Princess of Swords because someone has been sort of training you. That's the word that came to me, training you to be lesser than. So, I feel like this cord that we're trying to cut or we're examining right now is someone who almost takes advantage of you. And I don't mean that lightly. I don't take that scenario lightly, but there's a lot of small ways that people can do this over time that seems to be affecting us in a big way today. So there might not be an outright reason for you to cut this cord. You know, when it was my turn to cut cords and I was trying to reason with myself on why I deserve to cut these cords, a lot of me having to explain to this person came up, and that is something you don't have to do. Cutting cords does not mean that people have to exit your life. They can still be in your life. It's just that they no longer have the ability to influence you through energy. They're there physically, but energetically you are cut off and you are safe from their influence. That's it. So I say that to ease any intimidation. Again, this just feels like a really intimidating situation, an intimidating relationship. And then the third card we got is Epoch, pause in your journey, number 7. So once again, when we cut this cord, these cords, if there's many, you will find space and time to just exist, to just relax, and you'll be able to recognize and outright tell yourself, I claim this, I do not claim this. Okay, so there's certain things that you're dealing with unconsciously that do not belong to you, that you should not be claiming, that they seem to have been given to you, like you as a responsibility. They've been put on your shoulders, but all of this responsibility, and again, I'm getting like the black sheep of the family, or the healer of the family, the one that has the most of their shit together. So the one that everyone relies on because you are just a reliable like oldest sibling energy right now. you get to pause in your journey. When you cut these cords, you get to pause in your journey. You get to find that safe space where no one relies on you anymore, and you get to just rely on yourself and see what that means, what kind of doors that opens up. Something really important right now for the collective is divine masculinity and the true meaning behind that, because a lot of us are focused on our divine feminine, which it is very important when it comes to creativity and accepting the darkness, working with the shadow, healing the inner child. But in order for the divine feminine to be able to exist and create and flow in her optimal state, the divine masculine has to have created a specific environment for her to feel safe enough to come out in her most divine way. So again, this is like healing your root chakra. You're coming down to regaining your own safety, your base safety, your base boundaries. You get to rediscover who you are, what you want out of this life, and who in your life is adding or subtracting to that path. Okay, that's a heavy one. That's a good one though. So next, I think I'm going to pull again, what are we gaining once we cut these cords? I think that's what's coming through, is what are we gaining right now by cutting these cords? Personally, what can we see in our life in the future if we cut these cords today? Okay, so I've got 3 more cards. Okay, so first we've got animal. Embrace your wild side. I'm going to keep going because this actually all kind of relates. We've got animal, we've got departed loved ones, you are loved more than you'll ever know, and then bridge, stay strong and remain connected to what is important to you. So once again, just being told to contemplate what aligns with us and what have we just kind of held out of habit. But I said that they all relate. So animal, departed loved ones, and bridge. So when we cut this cord, again, when we find this epoch, this pause in our life, this safe space to just exist and sort of rediscover what our path is when it's not being affected by negativity and toxicity, we build this bridge. And Spirit is sort of telling you right now at this moment that you are a spiritual person. You have a lot of spiritual gifts. They've just been muddied out by material, like physical world responsibilities. You haven't had time to discover them yet, maybe. But the cool thing is that when you find this safe space, maybe if you don't even cut your cords, but you find this safe space, you are able to build boundaries. You will be building this bridge to a certain part of spirituality that brings in clair gifts, clairaudience, clairvoyance, cognizance, to where you are able to speak to your departed loved ones, speak to animals, nature, the wild side of life, okay? You're able to speak to your spirit guides. Like, you are going to be bringing in such a deep connection with yourself that Spirit says, I am also here. I am ready to build this relationship with you. So once again, I said earlier, when we cut this cord, though it seems scary and it feels like a loss, that is true. We are getting rid of things. We are clearing space in order to bring in this new relationship. And this new relationship, very well, for a lot of us, might be a deeper connection to spirit, to the spirit world, to where we can actually communicate with it and build our clair gifts. So this is very important for your path, your life path and your soul path, because this connection with spirit is going to happen no matter what. No matter what, you're going to get to this point in life where you end up cutting these cords, okay? So, again, allow yourself time to process, but do not procrastinate. Because procrastination just leads to more frustration in the long term. I know that out of personal experience. I am a heavy procrastinator when it comes to certain things, and it always leads to more frustration, as if I would have just spent 15 minutes doing what I had to in the very beginning. So, anyways, this is a huge confirming message that you are a very spiritually connected person, and if you don't feel like you are yet, it's because you have a lot of blockages coming from the cords that you hold today. That could be to people, to things. Just please, again, contemplate what may need to be sacrificed in order for your evolution. And I think that being honest with yourself is one of the greatest things that you can do for yourself, because it's coming from you. Like, once again, you know all of this. Like, I'm just reconfirming for you. The whole point of reading or listening to a tarot reading is that I'm translating energy that is already surrounding you. This is not new information. You just are now aware of it. So yeah. So then now let's just get into how our, basically how can we emotionally prepare to cut these cords? Like, emotionally, what is important right now? Important for cutting these cords. What is important? These cords are almost too big for my hands. Right. Answers within and forward movement. So as far as what's going to be helping us emotionally, I'm going to read these straight out of the book because this deck specifically is one of my favorites. Whispers of Healing. I feel like I wouldn't do it justice without reading it. But based off of first impressions, answers within and forward movement. Again, I feel like we're just very resistant right now towards cutting these cords. That's why I feel like the relationship is close, as if it's family, or maybe it's a friend or a relationship that's just been in your life for a really long time. And we've grown accustomed to making room for these people and these energies to exist, so we are used to it. But forward movement tells me that you are capable, no matter what, no matter how reliant you are on this person today, you are capable of going past it, moving past this, growing past this. And answers within means it's very specific. Again, contemplation is very important right now. I don't suggest that anyone goes home and cuts their cords today. Just because it needs to be sat with more, because if you do a ceremony in cord cutting without really understanding the cords that you're cutting and why and what you're gaining from it, you may find yourself having to do the same thing again not too far from now. So you really want it to like set in with your soul almost. So with answers within, it says, don't look externally for the source of your problems. When you feel triggered or distressed, look within. You may have been conditioned to place blame on others or on your circumstances. Realize there is no one against you. No one is looking to hurt you. Dissect what is going on for you. What is it that you are really feeling? Breaking out of limiting patterns. As you overcome the cause, you will diminish the effects. Okay, so don't look externally. So again, even if you're listening to this and you can't really put your finger on a relationship that deserves a cord cutting, maybe it's a cord cutting with a behavior of your own, with a relationship with a certain aspect of yourself. And I say this in for some of us, it's hard. Like, we are the healers of the family, but it's hard for us to heal ourselves. It's hard for us to just be there emotionally and energetically for ourselves. So maybe that's all that you really need, and maybe that's all that these cards are really saying, is that you really just need time and space to be able to go within, to be able to spend time with yourself. It feels like you're just a very busy person and you take care of a lot of people, but taking care of yourself can be beneficial in so many ways, because then when you have taken care of yourself, you automatically upgrade your ability to heal and take care of others. Just like this departed loved ones and this animal card, when you take care of yourself, you build the bridge, you're able to communicate and connect to the spiritual side, which unlocks so much more healing potential and ability to relate to those who really still need you. So maybe you're not cutting any cords off with someone externally, but internally you need to cut cords with some of your limiting beliefs or self-deprecating beliefs. I'm going to keep going. It says, create a space each day where you can take an emotional inventory. Find a place to sit quietly and relax your mind. Ask yourself questions. Take note of any insights that emerge during this process. Examining yourself and your role in a situation will help you become more self-aware. Soul searching and listening to a trusted friend can lead you to your best answer. You will recognize the right answer for you, as it will feel uplifting. You might be able to see a positive solution for all involved. You will feel inspired or comforted as you listen to your own wisdom. Once again, if you feel uneasy about the idea of cord cutting, contemplation, you have to sit with it, you have to be ready for it, you have to get to that point in your progress, in your past, that this feels like a positive answer. We're not making these decisions to be petty, to say you no longer have access to me, I'm higher than you. It's literally just making space for yourself. Making these decisions, you should have yourself in mind 100%. It says, a fairy rides in a rose high above a landscape. She holds a candle that represents the four main archangels, Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, and Uriel. The candle reflects the light glowing in your soul. Green is connected to health, wellness, and happiness. The beautiful wings lend emphasis to the freedom of your soul. You can rise above the situation and transform as you do so. All things are constantly moving, developing, and changing. Trust the cycle of change you are currently in as you emerge with more awareness. That's the whole message of today, is that cord cutting aside, you are in a period where it's important to choose yourself. It's important to make sure you have space for yourself, because ultimately this is your life, this is your experience. If you are so busy taking care of everyone else and everything else, when you look back at your life, where are you going to be able to say, oh, that's where I chose me, that's where I chose myself, that's where I made that decision purely for me and it worked out in this way? Are you able to say that yet at this point? And if not, there's no shame in that, because again, when you don't know any better, you don't know any better, so you can't hold that against yourself in any way. But now that you're aware, now that your awareness is growing, now that you know that you have this divine connection to a lot of spiritual people, departed loved ones, angels, guides, coming up multiple times in this reading, by the way, they're just waiting. They're waiting for the day that you sit down and you're able to give yourself space, and then they're able to come in, and you're still able to take care of the people who need you, but you also have found a way to balance. Not even balance, just found space to take care of yourself too. Okay? Now I'm going to read forward movement. Number 45. It says, nothing ever stays the same. That's crazy. The last one just ended with everything is a cycle of change, and then this one begins with nothing ever stays the same. Life is a constant state of change. This is an undeniable law of nature. You may feel you are in the middle of challenging circumstances. Take heart and trust things are already changing for the better. Things are moving, even though you cannot see it happening. Okay, so maybe our cord that we need to cut is our relationship with change. Maybe our cord that we need to cut is the stubborn cord within us that tells us that we don't deserve more. We're not ready to move forward. We're too tired. And if you feel like you are too tired to move forward, that is a point of examining your life. You should not have to survive your life. You should not have to caffeinate your way through life. You should not have to cope with life because it exhausts you. If life is exhausting you at the end of every single day, if you wake up and you feel like, oh, I'm not ready for today, whatever you're doing with that day needs to be examined, because again, you should not feel exhausted by life. Life should be an enriching experience. And I get that there are always going to be bad days. There's going to be darkness in life. True. But even aspects of darkness can be enriching. Yeah, I'm going to keep going. Change comes in many ways. Some changes are quick while others are gradual. Oh, and this was the other thing that Spirit was bringing up, was that it feels like there's been a shift. For the people who know that they're cutting cords in their relationships, in recent months, there's a noticeable shift for you, and I think that might be what brought you to today's reading, is that you just don't know what to do with the shift. Because for me, in the cords that I'm cutting, it was an obvious shift in the relationship, and for a long time I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should say something, because clearly the person that I have this connection with is not going to be changing in any way, as in coming back to what we once were. So how do I move forward? And I was met with cord cutting ceremony. So maybe you've felt a shift for a long time, and once again, Spirit wants you to contemplate the possibility of cutting the cord. Again, they don't have to leave your life, but energetically, it's no longer serving you to stay connected to this person or habit or pattern. Once you agree to change and give up your resolve to resist, okay, what were we talking about? Stubborn energy. Give up your resolve to resist. You can access whatever is heading your way. The change that is coming into your life may concern your health. It may herald a change in a relationship. It could be something else entirely. However it manifests, there is positive energy in this change. It is going to take place. You are being asked to trust and keep your heart open to whatever comes your way. So, the other thing that I need to bring up now is that our emotional and spiritual state very closely affects our physical state. So if you're dealing with a reoccurring sickness, a chronic illness, a mental illness, sometimes our illnesses can be rooted in emotional and spiritual symptom or illnesses. So again, this deserves contemplation, because if we're being drained so much emotionally, it can come through our body physically, and it can be our whole person, our mental and physical body trying to communicate through each other, saying, I need attention, I need rest, I need this, I need more food. Again, making space, like we were told with the answers within, making space for ourselves can open the door for us to learn more about what we need from ourselves. This is very, very important, because health has come out twice now. So your health may be suffering from this cord, from this energetic connection to something or someone, and you might be suffering more than you need to at this point. I would say cut the cord or do something similar, set a boundary, and see if your health changes in any way, because there are books out there. I'm just going to say this, that this is not a blanket statement. I'm not promising you that you're going to be healed from all of your ailments, but there are a lot of cases where physical illness, cases like cancer, cases like just irreversible illnesses, or even very serious illnesses like extreme cases of eczema or boils or whatever, they disappear with spiritual medicine. Okay, cases with mental illness, cases with psychosis, BPD, depression, anxiety, some There are some cases, again, I'm not promising that this will happen to you, but there are some cases where those issues were resolved or at least minimized through spiritual medicine. So it is worth looking through if you struggle with any of those things, with any sort of ailment, illness, anything that just feels discomfort in your body, like a twinge in your back, could easily be rooted in a spiritual ailment. It's worth contemplating. That's all I'm saying. Okay, where was I? Butterflies tow a fairy sitting in a rose carriage. The rose indicates balance and faith. The butterflies signify change and also grace and a soul connection. The fairy is being moved over a beautiful landscape. The various hues in this artwork represent different chakras. The purple represents the crown chakra, blue is associated with the throat chakra, pink is connected to the ear chakra, yellow relates to the solar plexus. If your eye is drawn to a specific color, it may indicate a chakra that needs balancing. Ultimately, the place you are moving toward is better than the place you are currently in. Yeah. Ultimately, you're moving to a better place. So ultimately, even if you go home or you stop listening today and you do nothing with this information, having heard this information, having this conversation has met you, has found you, you know that you are on a path to a better place, better health, better understanding with yourself, better spiritual connection, and communication. Yeah, you are on a very healing path. Accept that. Be ready for that. Let's see, what else can we do? I'm gonna pull a few more for you. Maybe we'll do charms. Okay, so I have Isis Oracle. Isis is one of my patron goddesses that I pray to often, so we are going to connect with her and see if there's any messages. You don't have to believe in the Egyptian deities. This doesn't have anything to do with religion, but there might be a message in here for you. So let's just have some spiritual advice on this process. Look at this. Why? Some spiritual advice for this process. Okay. Okay, so first we have the Temple of Carnelian, and it says, "It is time to trust in your own boldness and courage, taking risks that feel true to your heart and engaging in practices that make you feel truly and genuinely alive, embodied, and more of yourself, even if not always comfortable, are going to help you live the life you were born to live." So even if you're not comfortable, so let me tell you a little personal story right now. So I haven't even gotten to my cord cutting ceremony. I have been sort of talking about it and contemplating it for the last 2 or 3 days. But in this time, I've been told that something that I'll gain when I cut this cord is I will be getting my energy back. And like I was talking about health before, I have felt very drained, very brittle. My back hurts. My body just is tired all the time for the last few years. And especially these last few months, I've just felt overwhelmed with life. And just in the last 3 days of contemplating cutting cords and feeling what that could be like, I have started to receive my energy back. I felt like my teenage self, and I'm 22, so there's a certain energy level that I sort of expect to be at, especially with, like, I eat a pretty good diet, I exercise, so there's certain energies that I just wish to feel throughout my day, and I have started feeling them recently with just contemplating these ideas. So though it was uncomfortable, because the relationship that I'm considering cutting the cord with is very close to my heart and has been since I was a child, I've realized that there has been that shift, and it's worth me cutting the cord, not removing the person from my life, but cutting the emotional cord, because just contemplating it, I have received so much energy back, so much of my own divine self and soul back into my life. It's been like euphoric almost. I'm gonna keep going. We have two more from Isis, from the goddess Isis. And the second one is Goddess of 10,000 Names. If you have felt constrained by a role, name, or identity and are wishing for assistance in growing beyond it, or if you have sensed a new role or identity calling you into greater expression and would love some divine help in that growth, this oracle indicates that the help you need is already with you, urging your growth from within. Ah, this is amazing. Okay, so that was what I was trying to say earlier with the relationships or the roles, the responsibilities we have. We just feel like there's a little too much. Or maybe you're trying to represent something else with the roles you play in people's lives. Either way, your departed loved ones, your angels, your guides, your ancestors are here. Ancestors have pulled up for this because, again, this sort of when you get to the point of being able to cut cords, especially within your family, you are most likely going to be breaking generational curses and starting new generational habits and patterns. That's incredible, especially if you already have kids, or even if you don't plan on having kids but it's just for you. Like, I've gotten to the point in my generational curse path or whatever where I'm reparenting my parents in some ways, or one of my parents in more ways than another, but my ancestors have definitely pulled up because they are here to watch you. Because the thing about ancestors is that it's honoring to sort of lean into this, because you are getting the chance, like the fact that you're listening to this, you are having the opportunity that a lot of your ancestors, our ancestors, did not have the same opportunity to do so. So they're ready, they're watching, they are ready to see this upgrade in the lineage, in the generation. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get like more confirming than that. They are here, they're ready for you, and they're ready to guide you through it. You don't have to know what you're doing all of the time. You can not know and still be guided and still feel okay. Like, you don't have to be an all-knowing person to make a decision, to be of value to anyone. That's okay. Like, we can take a deep breath and still be of great value. And then the third one from Isis is Truths Unveiled. There are times when appearances of people, places, and things are deceptive. You will sense this when something feels uncomfortable with you, when you notice feelings of anxiety or doubt within you. You may think there is something wrong with you, but actually you are intuitively sensing that all is not as it appears to be. Trust what you feel, not what appears to be. That I need to take a deep breath. That is amazing. Like, cherry on top, amazing, because we are being told to trust our intuition. So this, I don't remember what card it was before, but it was talking about making space for yourself and having an emotional check-in. So maybe after you visit with certain people, or after you experience certain things, sit down and write down how you feel. Where in your body do you feel it? Is it necessarily good? Is it bad? Is it somewhere in between? But checking those things and not signing them off just because you left, you know what I mean? But I'm being told to bring back up, I don't think I've actually finally made the point of, there's a lot within our society that family gets away with because they are family. And one of my own goals in breaking generational curses has been no longer allowing family to get away with things that I wouldn't let strangers get away with. That's the boundary that I've put on my own self to call out when I feel uncomfortable, the same way I would if I was in a room full of strangers. Because the thing is like, family is who you're going to spend ultimately the most time with. It depends on your situation, but most people, family is usually pretty heavily involved in your life. And if they're not, whatever your family looks like, we're not talking about blood family, but whoever lives in your household, whoever you call every day, like whatever your family is made up of, make sure it's a family that supports you and your abilities. Make sure it's a family that loves you unconditionally. I'm so sorry if you can hear that playing in the background. but your gut feelings deserve to be acknowledged. That is it. That's the first step in recognizing your intuition, is acknowledging when it comes as a feeling, when it comes as a, oh, I really want to go home. Like when we feel like our introvert selves are coming out, I really, really want to go home. That is probably a gut feeling saying that you're not really in the most conducive environment. That might be people, places, or things, but you are recognizing the deception. Period, point blank. That's awesome. I'm gonna take a drink real quick. Okay. Thank you. So we're just gonna finish up today with one last oracle. It's one of my favorite little decks. It's called Let Go by Akal Pratam. And it's just a little mini deck, but we're gonna get some more advice on this whole process, just how to, you know, just advice, spiritual advice. Ooh, not the whole deck, please. I'll do one or two more. Some spiritual advice. Oh my goodness. Okay, they said, you know what, that's it. So, the card that we got, here it is visually. It says, if you have a problem, you have an opportunity. So let go of all blame. Okay, we got that earlier, talking about, we've been told to blame people or circumstances. Let go of blame. We don't have to discover the root of all problems to get rid of them, okay? Well, let me say that sometimes it is important, because you have to know what's causing certain problems in order to be allowed to get rid of the problem. But blame is not the issue. It's the root of the problem, discovering it, and then enacting boundaries or detoxes of certain things that will remove these things. And when you have a problem, you have the opportunity to grow past it. When you have a problem, you have an opportunity to elevate, to handle it in a new way. How have you handled problems within the family dynamic, or whatever dynamic you're considering cutting cords with? How have you dealt with your problems previously, and how has it resulted? Like, was that beneficial? Yes or no? Probably no if you're sitting here considering cutting cords. I'm just gonna say that. It's probably because, again, some people can't be reasoned with. Some people are just, they block themselves from reason so that they can protect their delusion and live the life that they live. That's just the reality of some people. But that doesn't have to be the reality of you. You can be honest with yourself, and I know that a lot of things are scary, and a lot of things are kind of unknown, but that's kind of the best part, is when you don't know what to expect, because then you don't have any confining beliefs. You don't get disappointed by anything. When you expect nothing, anything that comes to you will be greatly appreciated. So there's benefit in not knowing everything as well. But yeah, if you have a problem, you have an opportunity. That's kind of, I know I said cherry on top before, but that's kind of the cherry on top for the whole thing. Just one last little tidbit. Try to see it as a opportunity. Maybe contemplate until you see it as an opportunity, and then you might be ready to cut the cords or set the boundaries. But I think that we are all at this place of really recognizing what we want our lives to resemble. What do we want to, how do we want to live? How do we want to experience this lifetime? It's a really powerful thing to be conscious of, but with power comes great responsibility. And I was just talking about getting rid of responsibility, but responsibility and taking care of yourself. When you're aware that you need something, may that be a boundary, or may that be time and space to heal yourself, may that be connection with more animals, or your departed loved ones, whatever that is, whatever it is you need from life, it's your responsibility to make room for it. And I know that we're born into families, but it's not your responsibility to take care of your family, or to take care of anyone other than your own children that literally can't take care of themselves. You are not required to take care of anyone. And if you are taking care of someone and you're telling me, you're in your head right now and you're like, but they need me, they've made it to where you need them to need you, or they need you so much that you are unable to say, yeah, I need a day for myself. That alone just needs to be contemplated. That just needs to be checked. You need to sit down and write down how that makes you feel, so you really know the truth, the basis of your relationship, so you're not being deceived by anything, so you can recognize the deceptive anxiety that this stirs within your life. And you might not feel the anxiety around that person, but if you're feeling anxiety throughout your day in traffic, where did it start? Has it just built up to this point, you know? And we learn a lot from just being honest with ourselves and opening up the time in the day to sit down and journal about certain things. I love you. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope that this has been really helpful for you. So with that being said, enjoy and take a deep breath. You can do this. All right, bye.